I think it is fitting to start with this interview that Bob Arum and Teofimo Sr. did after Vasiliy Lomachenko, former two-division unified champion, defeated Masayoshi Takanani on Top Rank on ESPN. Right now, it is Monday, June the 28th, 7:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm T Street Controversy with FightView360.com. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to talk about Tank Davis's comeback win over Mario Barrios. We're going to talk about Loma versus Nakatani. But more importantly, this video is going to be about the Triller broadcasted fight of Teofimo Lopez, WBC, IBF, WBC franchise, IBF, WBA Super, WBO Ring Magazine 135-pound champion. It is looking like it is safe to say that, even to my shock and disbelief, that we're going to get Teofimo Lopez versus Vasiliy Lomachenko 2 sometime, hopefully, in 2021, by the end of 2021, or at the beginning of 2022. Now, that is if Teofimo Lopez makes weight. This whole Teofimo Lopez George Kambosos fight takes place in the first place. It's supposed to be on August the 14th of 2021 for $49.99. Let me pull it up for you. On the streaming service, Fight online combat sports streaming service, Fight, FITE, .tv. And also you'll be able to buy through your cable provider here in the States. Verizon Fios is carrying it. Xfinity was carrying it. So let's talk about it first. Let's listen to this interview with Bob Arum right here and Teofimo Sr. at the end of the Top Rank versus ESPN card on Saturday night. Please subscribe. Take your time out and like the video. FightView360.com. This is T Street Controversy with my colleague Big J on the line. Please subscribe.
Bob, the lightweight division is hot. You've got a man who's got 3 of the belts, and there's a reason that Lomachenko wanted Nakatani tonight. What did you think of Vasily's performance?
I just thought, you know, the one thing I've learned promoting Lomachenko is he never wants an easy fight. He wants the toughest fights ever they can give him, and Nakatani filled that bill. He fought a good fight with Lopez, and then you saw the Verdeo fight was incredible. So this was a really good performance, and now, you know, as the promoter of these 2 great lightweights, Teofimo and Lomachenko, it's my job and duty to bring them together for the fight that everybody wants to see. And it's going to be a massive, massive international fight. I'm fielding offers now from different places in the world, and these guys are going to. There'll be a winner and there'll be a loser, but there'll be 2 rich guys when the thing's over.
So we'll get our passports ready for that long-anticipated rematch. Now, I spoke with Teofimo, his father, and he said they were willing to make this fight. I know that there was no rematch clause, and that was much talked about why there wasn't, and Lomachenko just didn't care for it at that time. But nonetheless, he reserved the right to say no to the fight. How do you feel about his father saying they are willing to make this fight?
I know they are, because when he signed his new contract with Top Rank at my house before he came down with COVID, he said, yeah, no problem. It's a question of being compensated, and that's the job of the promoter.
Now, before we finish the rest of this interview that Bob Arum did with Bernardo Osuna, they're about to bring in Teofimo. Now, listen to Bob Arum. Now, right now, if you don't know, Teofimo Lopez has come down with COVID. He is said to be healed and doing well. And according to Teofimo Sr., and on the broadcast of Top Rank on ESPN, which Teofimo Sr. was ringside and rooting for, by the way, Lomachenko to defeat Nakatani. Listen to Bob Arum right here. So Teofimo Lopez has sat down with Bob Arum sometime in the last few weeks, restructured, amended his Top Rank deal. He was supposed to return October the 2nd, but let's just let Bob Arum explain. I'm playing it back one more time because I want you to listen very, very carefully.
feel about his father saying they are willing to make this fight?
I know they are, because when he signed his new contract with Top Rank at my house before he came down with COVID, he said, yeah, no problem. It's a question of being compensated, and that's the job of the promoter, and I'll get them both well compensated, and we'll do this fight, because based on his performance tonight, it will be a really different kind of fight. But I can't wait to see it. I really can't wait to see it. And there's Teofimo. Teofimo, come here, man. Hey.
How you doing?
A man making business.
Yeah, he made you a lot of money tonight, because that fight when we get it done, which we will,
yes,
it's going to be huge, huge.
Amazing. And you know what? I wasn't thinking about Lomachenko in the past, but after this performance, I think that the public wants to see this fight. I think that I could convince my son to fight him again. I think that after Kambosos, it could be made. It's going to be the biggest fight in the world, and we can make it happen in December in the Madison Square Garden, you know, like we always do, you know. My son's record in the Madison Square Garden is 6-0 with 6 knockouts. You already know that. So, you know, for the Heisman Awards. So why can't we make it happen there, you know? But I got to talk to him.
You're a real man, and your son's a real man, and I hope he's getting better.
Oh, no,
COVID.
He's 100% out of trouble.
That's
right
good
now.
news.
All right, Big J. Did you hear this interview, or is this your first time hearing that?
That's my first time hearing that much of that interview. I think I heard about 10 seconds of it while I was watching one of your videos yesterday. So yeah, but that's the first I've heard of it yet. So,
to me, I'm going to go ahead and say, now, of course, we're going to talk about George Kambosos. We're going to go into detail. But to me, is it safe to say that it seems as though that Teofimo Lopez versus Vasiliy Lomachenko is done? Like, from that interview, did you gather enough to make you think, like, wow, something's really going on over there?
Something's really good. I think something's already happened. They've already got it done, probably.
Yeah.
By the sound of it. I mean, if it's not done, it will be very soon, and I welcome it. But I also welcome George Kambosos throwing a big fuck you spanner into the works and taking the titles away and throwing this all new shit.
Yeah, so let's talk about that in more detail. In fact, let me pull up George Kambosos. So for those who don't know, as it stands right now on August the 14th, as I said earlier on Fight.tv, Teofimo Lopez is supposed to fight his IBF mandatory. So to explain it for those who don't understand, when you're a champion, there is 15 ranked fighters. You get to choose in a voluntary defense who you want to fight that's ranked in that top 15. In this case, Teofimo Lopez is the WBC, WBC franchise, WBA Super, WBO, Ring Magazine. He has a mandatory. He will soon have mandatories for all of those sanctioning bodies outside of the ring and the WBA Super, I guess it's safe to say. And hell, even the franchise. So basically, realistically, he only has 2 mandatory obligations he has to fulfill. The IBF, which is George Kambosos, and whoever the WBO may be, which could likely be Lomachenko by the time they fight if Teofimo defeats George Kambosos. So let's pull up George Kambosos here. We have him right here on BoxRec. He is 19-0 with 10 KOs. From Sydney, Australia, New South Wales, Australia. Credible wins, split decision over Lee Selby, in which I feel he won, even though it wasn't an eye-opening performance. Win over Mickey Bay wasn't necessarily an eye-opening performance, but he's won. Big J, let's rate George Kambosos. What's his strengths, his weaknesses, and what, can he do before we take our first jump cut to try to upset the plans of Teofimo Lopez?
Well, his strengths is definitely his speed and his footwork. He's nowhere near as powerful as puncher as what Lopez is, but, that's fair enough. His ability to work on the inside, cut off the ring. He's a very aggressive fighter, and he plays mind games. He's not afraid to bloody stand up to someone like he did at the first press conference. He was going to, if he had half the chance, he would have belted TO right there and then. So, he's showing no fear here, and he's got a bit of a mouth on him, but that's all right. But with the exception of the power, with the exception of the power, he's a pretty much a complete package. Good old George, and yeah, he's not afraid to get in there and have a crack, and he's dedicated. He is focused on this fight. The only hope that I have is that he just doesn't overcook himself over preparing for the fight.
Yeah, because how long has he been? Okay, so can you explain? You know, especially since it's early for me. When was this fight originally supposed to take place, and how long has Jono Kambosos been in training camp overall? But wasn't supposed to take place before that, though? Before June the 6th?
No, I think it was supposed to be sometime. I think it might have been May 29th or something, and they bumped it back a week. Mm-hmm. Then Floyd and his bullshit slapathon with, Logan Paul chased them off. No fight of Logan Paul's, of course. Chased them off, which I really thought they should have just stuck to their guns and said, fuck off, we were here first. Then that chased off to, what was it?
August the 14th.
June 19th, June 20th. Yeah, June 20th for us. And then everyone else, Top Rank and PBC and every other man, his dog jumped on that date and then chased them off again, and now they're at August 14th. And the question is, why are Top Rank and PBC and to a lesser extent Matchroom so threatened by Triller? Because every time they make a date, they jump all over it. I mean, what is the threat?
I don't think that Triller is a threat. I believe that, listen, it's just that the dates that were available. So right now, well, basically first, let's point this out. When Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos purse bid, where basically the two sides couldn't come to a deal. So when a purse bid takes place, that means anyone with a promoter's license can bid on the fight. If they win the bid, then they have promotional rights to the fight. In this case, Top Rank bid a certain amount, Matchroom bid a certain amount, but Triller ended up bidding quite a lot of money. Can you remind us what the purses are from off the top of your head, roundabout for both fighters, Big J?
Okay, so the purse is $6 million. Teofimo is getting $3.9 million, and George is getting $2.1.
Crazy. So when this card was first announced, basically, or when it was even, the purse bid was won originally, it was supposed to be Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield in an exhibition. So Triller, from my understanding, and I'm guessing, that they had the money to throw around. So they were like, okay, all right, let's give them this money, and then we can have an actual real boxing match on our card along with this exhibition of Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. Well, Mike Tyson has been having some issues with Triller. Look like he's never going to fight on Triller again. And there's been heavy speculation and rumor that he still has been yet to be paid from Triller for the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Super pay-per-view. So then it was supposed to be Evander Holyfield and Kevin McBride on the undercard. That fell through. So now you have this fight that would be a Showtime championship fight, boxing main event, a Top Rank on ESPN main event, if Top Rank had won the bid, or a regular main event on the Zone if Matchroom Eddie Hearn had won the bid. And now they're trying to charge people $50 for this fight off of Teofimo Lopez's name. And George Kambosos has been gaining some traction, but let's be honest, he's a relative unknown in the boxing casual world. Relative unknown. You might as well say no disrespect to George, because we're hoping to get him on the channel, even though his stock has been rising. Still, he has no casual fan appeal. Hardcores know who he is, but when it comes to a pay-per-view like this, they're relying on the casual fans to make up, as well as the hardcores. So before I let Big J take back over, let me tell you exactly the cards that are going to be on that day, courtesy of Dan Rayfield's website here. So you have Nonito Donaire versus John Rio Casimero for the WBC WBO Bantamweight Unification. A huge fight on regular Showtime. You also have the return of Joshua Franco and Andrew Maloney in their third fight for the WBA regular title at 118 pounds. Joshua Buatti's on that day, and basically no other fights on of note. Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence is that very next week, and then 3 weeks prior is the Fury versus Wilder pay-per-view. And let's not note, when the fight was supposed to take place originally a couple of weeks ago, what was it, June the 18th or so, you had Chavez Jr. taking on Anderson Silva. Chavez Sr. taking on Hector Macho Camacho Jr. So basically, no matter where they put this fight, it's going to not do well on pay-per-view. And that's basically because of the purses that are guaranteed to Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. Triller's not going to make that money back. And that's just being, you know, from what unless they come up with something creative or find some super fight to put on that card. Let's say, for example, if they decide to put Oscar De La Hoya versus Vitor Belfort, that's supposed to be happening on that card, then maybe they have a chance. So right now, what's the buzz for George Kambosos over in Australia, Jay? How is he known? You know, does he have a following? Because if on August the 14th, you have Franco versus Maloney 3, which fight is going to be broadcast over there? Because they're going to be taking place at the same time. Is it going to be Kambosos and Teofimo on pay-per-view like it was supposed to originally be a few weeks ago for $30 on main event Australian pay-per-view? And then you have Franco Maloney 3 on Free Fox over there. How's this going to work?
One of two ways. Well, this has happened before. If you remember, Jeff Horn versus Crawford happened on the same day that Whitaker was fighting, what's that Cuban bloke's name? Yoel
Romero.
Yeah,
But that's
Romero.
still boxing versus UFC, though. That's a big difference.
Yeah, true, but I think because of the time limits. What's the time difference between Oklahoma and Florida? A couple of hours? What, half an hour?
No, 2. No, that's 3.
3 hours. Okay, well, what they'll do is that they'll put on whichever one goes on first. They might put them both on pay-per-view. They might put them both on free to air.
But here in the States, the time difference is not going to make any difference. Like, it's not going to be. They're going to both be broadcast at the same time. It's not going to come on a couple hours early. One thing that can happen, though, Franco Maloney, that fight may be over before the co-main ends on Teofimo versus Kambosos. That's the only way I can see it.
Yeah, well, they'll put them on They'll put them on separate channels at the same time, and then people will just have to make up their own minds what they want to do. They both won't be on pay-per-view, that's for sure, because actually they would, because when they did that last year, you'll just have to pick and choose which one you want to purchase. But Andrew Maloney's people, you know, boxing fans in Australia would have far more interest in Andrew Maloney's fight due to the bullshit controversy of the last one than George's fight against Teofimo. So it's really going to be another hard sell for that, considering that he's going up against another Aussie who everyone is, you know, I mean, the world was talking about Maloney Franco too. I mean, Helen Mirren, you know, a British actress.
I remember that.
About it. Yeah, so, and who's talking about Teofimo George, you know, seriously, besides us?
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. So, another hard sell, and I feel sorry for both of them. But yeah, you'd have to think that, you know, people would lean towards the Australian fans would be leaning towards the third Maloney Franco fight for sure. And George doesn't have a huge following here because he doesn't fight in this country. He took off years ago and said, "No, I'm going to fight overseas," because he wants bigger and better competition. To his credit, he didn't stay home and waste his time. He went over and chased the big fish. So it's going to be, you know, 50. It depends on who you. I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to make up your mind. I'm going to get a taste of what you do when you have to do 6 cards all at once and decide, you know, how you're going to structure the video.
Which ones take priority, which ones you can cover later.
Which ones take priority.
Yeah. Let me break down the undercard really quickly. Of course, he's going to have Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos. Michael Hunter, IBF heavyweight contender, very highly ranked heavyweight contender, to stay busy fighting against Mike Wilson. I'm definitely sure this is going to be the co-feature. Franchon Cruz Dezern versus Aline Selderus for Cruz Dezern's WBC 168-pound title. Elderus I believe she had the WBO, but either way, basically 2 of those other titles are vacant, and it's going to be for undisputed at 168 pounds. And then you have Andy Vences versus a guy that I highly like, and I've talked to and chatted with and interviewed multiple times, Jono Carroll, for the vacant WBC International Silver title. So this card, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be on pay-per-view for $50. It's a hard sell, but of course, I'm going to be buying it. Big J is going to be buying it. We're going to be watching the fight, covering it, doing our part. We're going to be here for Fight Week, final press conference, weigh in. If there's a media workout, we'll be, streaming that. We're going to be here for the post-fight press conference and post-fight recap stream. So we're going to move over now and take a little bit of a jump cut. Please take your time out. Like the video. It doesn't take that long. We're going to pause here for about 10 seconds, and all you got to do is just click the button. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. We're going to be here for all Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos coverage and all of the coverage of all of the champions in the 135-pound division and contenders, which is the next topic we're about to jump to next. Please subscribe. So right here on our website, FightView360.com, the link down below in the description box, our rankings are updated monthly, sometimes weekly, in accordance with the sanctioning bodies. So, you see here Teofimo Lopez at the top of the list, holding all of the major belts in the sanctioning bodies. WBC champion Devin Haney. Interim champion is listed as Ryan Garcia, but Javier Fortuna and Jojo Diaz are going to be fighting for that title. Tank Davis, underling WBA world title at 135 pounds. Yvonne Mendy, the gold. Rolly Romero, the interim. Vasiliy Lomachenko this past weekend, and brutalizing, he brutalized Masayoshi Nakatani, the fighter who Teofimo Lopez struggled against before Teofimo went on to spark out Richard Comey in one, and then he went on to, of course, cleanly defeat Vasiliy Lomachenko. And I must point out, because the hardcore fans of Lomachenko keep bringing up, well, remember, you got to mention that he was injured. Vasiliy Lomachenko was injured. He was injured. Okay, he was injured. We're not children. I shouldn't have to, that already. I shouldn't have to mention this every time. But nonetheless, injury or not, on paper, he lost and was defeated by Teofimo Lopez. Point blank, period. Even in an interview that Loma did on his own YouTube channel, he could have pulled out the fight, had it postponed, but he didn't. So on paper, he lost. There's no way you can slice it, especially that 12th round. Me personally, he needed the 12th round just to get a draw. But anyway, moving on. What we're going to talk about is, with everything that's been going on with Teofimo Lopez, I find it a bit kind of arrogant, even though it's not done yet. But it's kind of seeming like it's done, that they're already planning for Teofimo Lopez's next fight against Lomachenko, or whoever he was going to fight after that, before Lomachenko was even, fans even thought we could see that rematch. So what if George Kambosos wins? George Kambosos has been training. He doesn't have, he may not have the power. Many may feel that, he doesn't have the skill set. But think about this. What if Teofimo Lopez beats Teofimo Lopez? Therefore, George Kambosos wins. What if Teofimo Lopez, is really, really struggling to make weight, trying to make this money? What if he loses his belt on the scales, which, is a possibility? What if about COVID, there's been many, many fighters, especially over in the UFC, that once they've gotten COVID, has had issues in training and going forward. From my understanding, there's even been a trend of fighters who's had COVID having issues, even losing their fights. So George Kambosos' chances, before we talk about what's next if George Kambosos wins, which will likely be, hell, we don't even know if there's a rematch clause or not. You would think that Teofimo Lopez would have learned, from what Loma did to him, to make sure there's a rematch clause. That's something that we need to know. But what if George Kambosos wins? And right now, what do you think George Kambosos needs to do to win, Big J? Like, how does he beat Teofimo Lopez?
Just keeps focused, because Teofimo doesn't seem to be very focused at the moment, because where is he at the moment? I heard he's in Italy.
In Italy. His father said that on the broadcast, the Top Rank on ESPN broadcast.
That doesn't sound like a fighter who's focused on his title defense to me. What's he doing in Italy? All right. So where's George? In Florida training. That's all he's doing. So
yeah.
No, I think that George's determination and will and discipline will be the factor in this fight, because you can see it. Bob Arum's written it all.
Alexa, Stop. My bad. Go ahead. I'm listening to Jay.
Teofimo Senior's written them off. Pretty much everyone, pretty much all the, American, well, pretty much the world has just gone, Teofimo's going to get in there, crack the shit out of this Aussie kid and come home. Bullshit. Bullshit. Don't write George off completely because, if there's, a minuscule chance that George can take it and Teofimo fucks up and does something wrong, George will run a train over him. And I hope he does because, all this bullshit of traveling overseas and going there and getting dicked around, and it would be fitting that Lopez loses, and maybe it might teach him a bit of humility, about, hey, you're in a fight, you need to do everything you can to make sure you win that fight. Stop dicking around because George isn't mucking around.
Yeah.
But as you said, Teofimo will defeat it. He'll become his own worst enemy and defeat himself through his own arrogance and stupidity. So,
yeah, because it is a little, and we don't have to play the interview from Bob Arum and Teofimo Sr. I said it before, I'm not going to say it again, something seems fishy, and doesn't help that, Bob Arum at 90 years old with no filter, pretty much up there laughing like, we met at our house last week, we went over the contract, then he comes down with COVID. That's just, but since we're running low on time, I forgot we got to mention Tank Davis and what he did in his comeback win over Mario Barrios. The reason why I say it's a comeback, because up until that knockdown, the first knockdown, I had Mario Barrios up. Nonetheless, Tank did what he had to do, and he won the fight. From what you've seen, how do you rank Tank Davis at 135 pounds? And how would Tank Davis fare against Teofimo Lopez, in your opinion?
Oh, geez, that'd be a bloody good fight. I think whoever got in the first power punch first would win. That would be an excellent, excellent fight. Because Tank has proved he can take on a bigger bloke and knock the fuck out of him. He proved that yesterday.
Yeah.
Teofimo would be a lot taller than Tank, a lot bigger. I really think whoever got the first big shot in would win that fight because they're both power punchers. I think Teofimo would be a touch quicker than Tank, but Tank can take a shot and he doesn't fuck around.
I don't know. Tank is fast. I would, I would disagree. My opinion is, Tank would be the faster one, but Teofimo would be huge, and also Teofimo is no Mario Barrios.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think if Tank, whoever got in the first big power shot, would win the fight.
And now we know
the first real big one.
And now we know that the fight can happen because Tank is campaigning at 140 now, and Teofimo's not even at 140 yet. And
it could happen at 135. He's still got a strap at 135.
I don't think it's honestly. I don't see the fight happening because of promotional issues. Sadly, Ryan Garcia is on hiatus. Devin Haney, we don't know what he's doing. How would you put Devin Haney against Teofimo Lopez?
Oh, Teofimo, crackers. George Kambosos would beat Devin Haney. No,
you think so?
Everyone.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You're going to get shit for that. People are going to give you shit for that. But yeah, I don't know.
Fuck him. Oh, fuck him. I don't care what they say. I reckon George would outwork and out structure and out tenacity.
Okay, all right. Aggressiveness, basically.
Yeah, the mongrel in George would be too much for Devin. Look at Devin Haney. He can't even beat a couple of old veterans. George would have flogged the fuck out of those blokes.
He did, the Yorkis Gamboa and the Jorge Linares fight didn't do Devin Haney any favors.
Yeah, George would have knocked George would have knocked the bastard out of those two. So, I think George would outwork him, would outpower him, and did the same thing he did to Mickey Bay. Close fight, last round, bang, uppercut, down he goes. So I think it would be very similar to the Mickey Bay fight because I just don't see anything in Devin Haney. I don't know why everyone's praising him because he really hasn't been that impressive. I mean, Tank would knock the fucking shit out of him. Yeah. Tank would level him.
I don't know, man. We'll see. So since we're short on time, we're going to wrap up.
Lomachenko would just destroy him. Before you even ask that question,
you've been hard on Devin today. You know what? I'm interested to see what you guys say down below in the comments. Please comment away.
Yeah, me too.
Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. Also, we're going to be working with the WBC, and the WBC is going to be featuring this video on their channel, by the Vive Network. So there's a lot more details to work out, but you're going to be seeing a lot more of us on this platform. And of course, you can always follow us on YouTube, and all of our social media is right down below in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube. This is T-Street Controversy and Big J with FightU3CC.com. Take your time out, like the video, and subscribe. Once again, we'll be here for all Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos coverage.